So in your top of your Zoom, there is a reaction button. So if you want something to ask, if you have any questions that you put in the chat, or if you have doubts on the particular slides, you can, there's an option called raise hand. So you can click that option. So it will show me as your name with raise hand option. So I will stop the session and ask you a question, or I can hear you. So it's better if you want to communicate throughout my lecture, you can use that raise hand option. Okay. Can you able to, if I ask any questions, you can put that green color tick mark. So we call those reactions as non-verbal surveys. So it means that first one, that green color tick means yes, the red color cross marks no. So if I ask something related to your yes or no question, so you can just rather than unmute yourself or put in the chat, you can use that yes or no. As well as I'm new to you for this lecture, so if my lecture was speed, so you can't concentrate on my lecture, so you can click that slow down icon. So I will that icon, when that icon will show, I will slow up my lecture. Okay, likewise that speed up. So if you feel whenever bored or something it's very slow, so you can click that option also. So am I audible, right? Can you click that yes? If I'm audible, you can click the yes. Yeah. Okay, fine. Thanks. So I guess you are third year, right? So in our university, the final year students are now in the internship as well as their final semester. So it means you guys have the huge responsibility when it comes to the technology faculty as well as the Department of ICT. So basically, you are the one who wants to guide your junior batches, right? So in the next week also, we have our orientation. So your first, our freshers will come from next week onwards. So you want to act as a huge responsibility. So be careful, and you have to be a role models for them. Okay, so when it comes to times, you said that you have 95 total, but only 9-10 you have the 21, only 21 participants. So I am very particular about the time and the attendance. So as this is your first lecture, I will give any excuses, but from the next lecture onwards, I don't give any these type of excuses. So first of all, this is your lecture 1 and 2. Yesterday I have, so from 18th, yesterday onwards, I think just not yesterday, day before the yesterday onwards, your third year second semester officially started. So I got the timetable yesterday, so that's why I missed your yesterday lecture. So basically, you have your lecture on Tuesday and Wednesday as 1 hour lecture. So from next week onwards, I will do the lectures on the according to the timetable. So no worries. So your lecture for today is research methodology. So I forgot to mention my name. So my name is Premisha. So I am newly appointed as lecturer probationary to the Department of ICT. So basically I'm from the industry perspective. So earlier my job was I was a software engineer. So as well as software engineering field, also I'm worked as a researcher. So basically the subject was assigned to me based on my research areas. So I don't know whether you familiar with these profiles, but I have to show you. But in the next sessions, I will ask you to create the accounts on these research profiles. Okay, so like Facebook, you I guess you all have your LinkedIn account, right? So LinkedIn is basically help to your job related. So when it comes to a software industry, so you must have a LinkedIn account, and those LinkedIn account should be maintained properly in a formal way. Okay, don't use those accounts in formal ways that will affect when it comes to your interns and your work, that will affect. Okay, so I forgot to mention, so I was on, I am the industrial coordinator for your senior batches. So I hope I will be the one of your industrial coordinator for your batch also. So coming weeks you will have the industrial sessions, like how can you prepare your CVs and the interviews as well. So we will have more sessions with you. So I guess we want some more talented peoples from your batch as well. So yeah, okay. So I will take this caller. So I will share the slides with you. So don't worry about that. Sorry. So just give me a minute. Okay, so I will share the slide through the Google Classroom. So you can, when I will link up my research profile, so you can click that links and you can just go through that. In coming lectures, I will ask you to create your research profiles on that media. So you have to, first you have to have an idea of how can we put something on that research profile. So okay. So this is my Google Scholar profile. So in the Google Scholar, I think you heard about Google Scholar. So it's like an official research profiles for the researchers who publish their papers in the IEEE and the international conferences. Okay, so there we have lot of researchers as well as some research collaborative works also there. So first thing is, yeah, whenever you have a Google account, that Gmail, using that Gmail, you can create a Scholar account, right? First, you have to create your Scholar account. Then you can search on other researchers and their works and like research related works. So when it comes to big researchers, so they have a lot of publications. And when it comes to Google Scholar, those publications you can access freely. So that's the best advantage. Okay. So this is one of the research profiles. So when you have some ideas when it goes, so this is my scholar, and there is a research profile called Scopus. So Scopus is when it comes to the world researchers ranking. So Scopus is the most authenticated one, as well as another one is Pablon, and there are a lot of research profiles. There are ResearchGate, OSIT. Likewise, there are a lot of research profiles. So when it comes to this lecture, in the coming parts, I will ask you to create those profiles. So for the moment, when I share these slides, you can go through that profiles, right? So about this course, this is a non-credit course. It means you don't have any credits when it comes to the grades level. You don't have any credits, but compulsorily you have to pass this subject. Okay. So basically this is theoretical, but I will use some tools in the end of the lecture. So it's a practical session. So once you come physically, I will do those tools, right? So I guess in the coming months, you will have your physical lecture. So on that time, I will do some tools with your hands on. So basically, you will have 1 hour lecture. For today, you have 2 hour lecture because I missed the yesterday session. So I want to cover up the weekly hour base. So uh, normally you have 1 hour lecture Tuesday and Wednesday. So per week, it means in once in the week you have 2 lectures. And when it comes to theory, you have your 30% in your in-course assessments and the 70% in your end semester exams. Okay. But when it comes to the final year, the fourth year, second semester, you will have your fourth year, second or first semester, I guess. You have your industrial training non-credit as well as the group research project with 6 credits. So which means these 6 credits you want to learn from this non-credit research methodology subject, right? So you have to understand neither this is a non-credit subject, you want to focus on this subject to gain these 6 credit grades. Okay. Yeah, someone mute. Okay, I guess they accidentally mute. Okay. So better you have to focus on the subjects and the tools that I discussed in here. The assessment methods, in-course assessments, I will have the polls, not today. From next lecture onwards, you will have the polls. I didn't inform those polls. So basically it's a maybe it's an MCQ or sort writings, maybe the matching answers. Likewise, you have your ICA, like small ICAs in each lectures from next lecture onwards. So I will get minimum 10 ICAs I will give you and get you average to get one assessment. Okay. And you will have in the full semester, you will have 2 informed class works, group works, as well as your in your 30% of your assessment marks, I will give you the 20% to the final individual literature review. So don't worry about now what is literature review and those, but you have to focus on the lecture, then only you can write your own individual literature review. Okay, so I'm very strict about that. You can't copy others' works, or you can't copy from the internet as well. So I have the tools. So in when you participated in the research preparation workshop, you will have the idea how can we detect those plagiarism, right? So you have to focus on the research methodology subject. Then only you can get those 20 marks in the end of the semester. And this is the ILO. So ILO means basically what you have to do, what you have to learn from this subject. So first thing is identify the basic frameworks of research process and its methodologies. So don't worry about the terms. So when it comes to research, as you are freshers to the research related stuff, so don't worry about the key terms. In here, we use a lot of different terminologies we called. So terminology means different words. So in here also methodology, we use frameworks. So frameworks, you familiar. So the second ILO is select and define the appropriate research problem and parameters. So I will give you the brief introduction of these terminologies. So don't worry about this. And then identify the various sources of information for the literature review and data collections. Okay. So in the lectures, throughout the lectures, I will give you the enough idea of what are these. So don't worry about these terms, but you have to do is you have to be on the lectures. Okay. I will share the recordings in the classroom. So don't worry about that. If you miss some lectures when you have some important things like funerals or something, you can let me know, give me a mail, and uh, you can be absent on that lecture, but be mind on that. So you have to give me a before prior email you have to send me, right? So then write proposal using scientific research methodology and organize and conduct research in a more appropriate manner. So finally, how to write a research report and thesis. So these are the learning outcomes that you have to achieve after end of the semester. Okay. So do you have any questions so far? So I prefer you can talk, or else if you don't have any questions, I already told, right? The reactions, you can click that no. So I want some of the reactions, if yes or no. So do you have any questions? Okay, no. So please active in the class. I will record the session and I will have who are actively participated on the session. Okay. So my lecture will be flexible in the classroom, so you can ask questions and you can ask whatever the things related to my related to me, like the industrials or the research related. So whatever the stuffs you can ask. So if that is not related to the subject, after end of the lecture you can ask that. So if that question is related to the subject, you can ask in the lecture time also. So when it comes to ICAs or mid-evaluation exams or the final exams, I'm very strict in the exam. So, and exam papers should be tough. You can't expect me to put easy questions unless this is a non-credit subject. So don't expect that. So in the lecture, you can ask or I will teach you clearly. So if I will have some exercises also. So if you have any doubts, you have to clear on the lectures. Okay. Don't make that and don't tell me the question is hard. Okay. So you can have permission to ask questions, as well as if you have any contradict related to my explanations, you can discuss with me. And also, I already mentioned this, punctuality is important to me. So if that class is 9, I will start the Zoom on 8:55 and I will start the lecture on 9 o'clock. Okay. So I will see the recordings and I will get the reports from the Zooms. So I will get your durations. So if you, when it comes to 1 hour lecture, if your duration is less than 45 minutes, I will give you as an absence. Okay. So be on time. So unless if you have any power cut issues, you have to inform Priya. Like you have my number and I will give you my email. So you have to inform me. So if I put 9 to 10 lecture, if your area is on that period power cut earlier, so you have to give me a mail. So but you can't say like that, right? Because these Zooms are nowadays the less data consuming, and you have your mobiles. And if you have lectures, I will inform before the day. So you can put on charge and you can turn on your mobile data. Okay. So I don't take that power cut issue as a excuse. Okay. So another thing is, I don't think uh, I I don't even aware of so far how you have your lectures, but my lecture I have some techniques, so to encourage you to develop your presentation skills, because I was deal with your senior students, so it's very hard for me to prepare them to face the interviews, because most of the students are talented and they know what those technologies, and they have the huge certifications in the networks as well, but they are very poor in performing in the interviews. So based on that, I prefer you to the develop, because you are the one who face the interviews for the interns. So I am the one who mostly struggle with you, because when it comes to industrial training, I'm very struggling with your seniors. So that's why I'm planning the sessions from this semester onwards. You will have the industrial training sessions. Okay. So the student of the day means I normally practice your junior batches. I normally start to practice this technique. So every day, so first lecture, it means today you have the heading. From next week onwards, you end of the Tuesday lecture, I will give you a heading, comment heading. So you have to create a medium blog link, medium blog. I don't know whether you are familiar or not. So can I get a reaction are you familiar with the medium blog? So are you in medium? Yes or no? Yes, one yes. So only 2 people are in my classroom. Is that right? So whoever joined later, so when I ask questions, there is in your bottom of your Zoom, there is a reaction button. When you click that, there is a non-verbal communication stickers like yes or no, slow down, speed up, likewise. So now I ask you a question. Uh, are you a medium blogger? So if you wrote any medium blogs, click yes or else no. Yes means that green color stick. No means yeah. Okay, so don't use for the yes and no, don't use the chat. Just click on that reactions. That's enough. Okay, so I got most of you don't familiar with that medium. So I will give you some introduction. Don't worry. So end of the lecture, I will have give you the some demo. Okay. So basically, that student of the day means every Tuesday, but today is the exceptional. Today you will have the heading. End of the lecture, I will give you the heading. You have to write a medium blog and you have to submit within the Friday midnight. You have to submit through the classroom. And on the Wednesday lecture, I will pick randomly a name and those person have to share his or her medium blog screen. So when you have to share your screen and you have to present your medium blog here just for 5 minutes. Okay, this will practice throughout your semester. Okay, so this will consider as one of your assessment. Okay, so I will share this slide in the group. After that, you have to join the Google Classroom, or else you can note this Google Classroom code. So I don't have my LMS access yet. So once I get, I will move to the LMS until I will practice this Google Classroom. So you can note this code, Google Classroom code, and there only I will share the assessments, classroom, class links, class information. I will communicate through the Google Classroom only once you all are joined. I don't use that WhatsApp. Okay. So this is my teaching method. So far, do you have any questions you can ask? Otherwise, okay, I will move to the lecture. So today's roadmap. So which means today you are going to learn about research. It's way of thinking, and the second thing is actual definition of research. Third, you will have the characteristic requirements to research. And fourth one is type of researchers. Okay, so today we are going to discuss these things in this lecture. Okay. So first thing, so what do you mean by a research? What do you think? In the chat you can put. So what do you think? What is a research? Or else if you can unmute and talk, it's most welcome. I want to hear your voices. So, or else if you are not in a position to unmute, yeah, it's nearly similar meaning. So have a new idea. So wait, I will Ilakya. So that's great. Other answers? What do you mean by a research? So when you answer, don't think it's right or wrong. So you have the courage to answer, right? That's enough. When it comes to lecture, don't feel if your answer is right or wrong. First thing is you have the gut to answer. That's the thing. Okay. So I got one answer. So she said research is have a new idea. Yes, it's barely a idea of what is research. So basically, research is a way of thinking. So it means, so in your day-to-day life also, you will do some researches. But those researches are, if first thing, you don't aware of that is a research. Second thing, you do researches in your day-to-day life with for the unnecessary things. So So when it comes to, so, okay, let's take an example. So you met, so boys will love to meet new girls, right? So when you meet a girl in a bus, okay, so you search in the Facebooks and you got her Facebook ID, or you got some images, then you go for the tax informations, and then you actually you do a research, right? That's also a research. So but you do a research for unwanted things, or not unwanted, you do a research out of your study, so that's also research. So when it comes to research, it's a way of thinking. So you have the thinking of, first thing, you only know the face of her, that girl, right? So when it comes to girl, you only know the face of a boy, right? So but after that, what you have to do is you think, right? Normally when you have your same age girl or boy, when you see a same age boy and girl, so you thinking, yes, you can find her or him on the Facebook or Instagram. So when it comes to Instagram, so we have to, basically we have to request when it comes to private account. So first thing, you filter out what are the options you can find that person, right? So that's a way of thinking. And then when it comes to Instagram, so you have to request, so you omit that option. So there you make a filter, right? Then you find, yeah, Facebook is the one, the preferred choice. So you, after the filter out, you come up with some conclusion. Then when it comes to conclusion, so in some cases you already friend with someone, that girl or boy talk within the bus, then you, first thing what you have to do is, when it comes to Facebook, you go with that friend Facebook, and then within that Facebook tags and photos or something, you search that particular person's ID, right? So it's a quite interesting research that boys and girls nowadays doing, right? So this is also research, but this is apart from your subject. But mostly we are very interested to search, when it comes to these kind of researches, we are very interested, right? But when it comes to your final year researches, you guys very bored up and come up with very silly ideas. So recently we face your final years, the proposal presentations for the research. So it means proposal presentation means the same names also related, right? So proposal presentation, yeah, same name. So proposal means they have to come up with, they have to present what kind of researchers, or the research idea of them to us, okay? So when it comes to their ideas, first thing I noticed, they even don't know what is research. So basically they come up with just a project ideas. So do you, what do you think, what is the difference between a project and a research? Is that the same or different? If research and project same, please click yes. If project and research not same, click no in the reaction. Only 3. Oh, okay, 4. Okay, so I guess you have the some idea of project and research are two different things. But yeah, that's fine. So when it comes to projects means you have to create something based on your theoretical knowledge. So that means you don't have to be new. So your idea or your project, so when it comes to project, that is, we don't require your idea must be unique. But when it comes to research, you should, or your research should be unique. So which means You can't do the same thing again and again. Okay. So the basic idea of research is a way of thinking. So within this framework of thinking, you usually question. So first thing, when it comes to research, you have to question. So basically, you don't even ask questions in the lectures, but if you have the skill of asking question, which means there is a chances of you are going to be a good researcher. Okay, so in the history also, when it comes to Newton's things, he's a researcher, right? So Newton asked questions when it comes to that apple falling scene. So in that scene, it's a normal day-to-day life. When we sleep under the tree, those apples, whenever whatever the fruits on the tree falls in the land, right? But when it comes to Newton, what's the thing makes his as a researcher is asking questions. First, he asks questions. Why those apples are coming towards the sand or the land, not the air? So the first question. So likewise, if you want to be a researcher or if you want to do a research, first thing, you have to ask questions. Second thing, you have to observe things. Rather than asking questions to get the answers for that questions, you have to observe the things. Observe means not look or see, it's observe. Observe means you have to think and look. Okay, so another way research means, another thing is make an attempt to further explore. So when it comes to our nowadays situation is, we are very lack of fuel, right? So first thing, you have to ask question. So why suddenly we don't have the, suddenly we have the petrol issues and the fuel issues? Okay, so why is that happening now? That's the first question you have to ask. Second question, you have to observe. So when it comes to the world fuel systems, so where we get our fuel, so which countries have the fuels, likewise you have to observe. Then you have to make an attempt to further explore. So further, what do we have to explore? When you find these are the countries produces the fuel, then we have to explore what are the things that were going nowadays on those countries who are produces the fuel. Then only we can come up with the then what we have to do is understand and explain your observation. So when it comes to that Ukraine and other stuffs, so when we get that countries are Ukraine, so those countries, what are the things going on those countries? Nowadays, they face wars and the economic issues and some other serious issues. So those issues affect the fuel productions on those countries. So likewise, when it comes to research, it's a way of thinking. So you have to think well, you have to think right thing. Okay. So this is just a overall idea of how what's a research or how can be a research, right? So if you have any questions to ask, you can ask. So I in the start also I told that you are the people who are responsible of our departments now, because your seniors are in the interns and the research, and they are leaving, right? Because after finishing their research presentations and the industrial presentation, they almost pass out. from the university. But so the responsibility of our department and the responsibility is in your hand. So you have to be role model, asking questions and other stuff. So when it comes to the general sessions, so in future we will plan to do general sessions for the third year, second year. So when it comes to that sessions, you have to be forward to them. So when you ask questions only, they will ask questions, right? So from the next week onwards, when your freshers come, so you have to be role model to them. Okay, so be mind on that. So I took second years also the lecture, but I guess they are quite interactive in the lectures. They ask questions, and when it comes to the answers also, they are very quite interesting in the lecture. So we'll see. This is your first lecture, right? So, okay. So when it comes to day-to-day life, so as I already mentioned, we perform some researches. Okay. So in the finding a girl or boy on finding a girl or boy's Facebook ID, it's a research, kind of research, right? So research helps you to critically examine your day-to-day situations. So when it comes to day-to-day situations, like earlier I said that fuel crisis, so that's an example of critically examine your day-to-day situation. So rather than this, when it comes to, if you are a health worker means that nurses, doctors, midwives, and the ambulance drivers. So those are the people who performed well in the recent COVID situations, right? So when it comes to their situations, so if you suppose you are working in the field of health, you may ask yourself some of these questions when it comes to research. First thing, so give me a minute. Yeah, okay. So first thing you have when you are a health worker, so you can also let's take, if you are a nurse, your day-to-day life, you have to deal with the patients and some new viruses and new fevers, like, so when it comes to those stuffs, so if you are a normal nurse, rather than the normal nurse, if you are a research minded person, then you can do, if you are a nurse, you can do a research very well when it comes to health sector, right? So what kind of research if a nurse can do? First thing, he or she wants to ask questions about day-to-day life. What are the things he or she perform, the regular things, he or she can ask questions to make that day-to-day incident as a research. Okay, so when it comes to nurse, so let's take now I am a nurse, so I just go to the morning duties, ward duties. Likewise, I go to the duties and the outpatients. Likewise, I faced those day-to-day situations. So when it comes to, I am a research-minded person, so I can ask questions like, how many patients do I see every day? So that's a question I can ask, and wrote down the answer. And what are some of the most common conditions in those patients? Like, so those kind of questions. So what are the causes for that condition? So when it comes to those research things, leads to find that this is a new virus and that's called COVID. So those kind of informations and those kind of awareness comes from the research minded persons. right? So when it comes to that Wuhan 2019 COVID situation, so if that person, so if that health worker didn't think that this is a new symptoms or new virus or new disease, how can we know this is a new things and we have to find some vaccines to this situation, right? So research is very important when it comes to our day-to-day life. Okay, so if you like or not, we have to research on something. Second things, develops and test new ways that contributes the advancement of your practice. So when it comes to, so we are the people, when our researchers are basically based on the implementations, like because we are learning the programming languages and we are going to work with that computer programs. So we must develop a new system when it comes to our types of researches. Okay, so research is an integral part of your professional practice. So when it comes to, if you are like to become a software engineer, so when you perform well in your research implementation, then you can hire from that company easily. So when it comes to when you doing good in your research project in Python or something, JavaScript or something, then you can give that evidence when you hire from the software company. So that's a best practice. And research is a habit of questioning what you do. So basically, we have to do questions by ourselves, or we have to do research for ourselves. So is that right thing that I am going to do, or what are the courses that makes to, if that thing is go this way, what things I can identify. Likewise, you have to do research on yourself. So when it comes to your situation, so you are in the position to research yourself. So you are on the third year, second semester. So from next 3 or 4 months onwards, you have to find the internships. So for that, you can research what kind of technologies you are really familiar. So what kind of technologies you are really know, rather than the learning theories and learning the subject in the university level, what kind of technologies you are really familiar. So when it comes to development, so your seniors are struggling while it comes to the development technical questions. So they are asked to code on the spot. So if you are a theoretical person, or if you are not familiar that much in your technology, you will fail. Okay, so even if you have a first class, but you don't have the technological perspective mind, then you are failure in the interview, right? So do a research on yourself. Okay, so yeah, so this is the part. This is the one, what is actually research. So basically, I am not a person to ask questions like what is research or something. Or if I ask what is research, you have to understand what is research basically, and you have to write it by your own words, not these definitions that I gave in the slides. Sorry, don't memorize those things, and don't vomit it in your papers like the same words and the same things, because I even uh, put the actual definitions here, because I just want you to understand what is research. So basically, if I ask in the questions what is research, even you can say asking question is enough. Asking questions is enough. Okay, so basically the term itself, research, right? Re and search. So re is a prefix. Re means, you already know, right? Re means repeat, resit, you familiar, right? So re means again and again, or when you do a thing again and again, we called as a re. So search means you have to search something, or you have to examine uh, clearly on that, rather than the out layer, you have to dig deep, then that's called search. So that's mean the name itself, it means research, right? So you have to do over and over, so again and again examine on a study, then that's called a research. So basically the dictionary says the meaning for the research is creative and systematic work undertaken to increase the stock of knowledge. So why we have to research? Why we have to do a research? The basic idea is we have to increase our knowledge, or else we have to give some knowledge to the world. Likewise, the final outcome is increase the stock of knowledge. Okay. So the final definition for the research is the systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. So basically conclusion in the sense, the final outcomes we called as conclusion. So when it comes to facts in the research, we use this term mostly. So facts means so when it comes to that fuel scenario, so fuels are comes from the that Arab Emirates or some other countries, right? So that's a fact. So likewise, the general knowledge we called as a fact. So if so far, do you have any questions you can ask? Otherwise, we will move. If I am speed or slow, so if I want to slow down or speed up, oh, it's enough, it's right. Oh, is it all right? Are you all sleeping? Okay, I got one response. Okay, so let's move. So first thing, I don't have any introduction because I don't like to introduce yourselves in this room. So when you have your first physical lecture, we will introduce. So don't worry about that. Yeah. So okay, then the characteristic and requirements of research. So when it comes to research, so far you understand what is research, right? So from these points, you understand what are the characteristics or requirements of research, right? So first thing is control. So when it comes to actual research, so these are the things that differentiate the day-to-day life research, that the Facebook ID research, right? So that's a research, but these are the things, these are the characters differentiate your actual research, right? So when it comes to a proper research, the characteristic is controlled, which means the external factors can't change anything in your research. Like, so where if you are doing if you are doing a research, the external factors can't make an impact on your research. Second thing is rigorous. So rigor means you have to give some, so rigor in when it comes to that small the gaming things. So when you rigor something, that first when you rigor by your hands, those things that so when you so I don't know the actual word. So some things when you trigger, it will run, or it will make round motions, right? So the rigorous means when it comes to research also, we have to rigor the variables. So in the future parts, you will learn what is variables and how can we rigor. So when it comes to research, always the researchers trigger something. Then only they can get what they want to get. Okay. So second characteristic is systematic. So systematic means this implies that the procedures adapted to undertake the investigation. So what kind of procedures that we can follow to when it comes to research? So in some researchers, they will follow the data collection to Google form. So you will have some Google forms in the Facebook also. Someone send this is a Google form. This is helps to my research study. So please fill. Likewise, that's a systematic procedure. Second thing is fourth thing is valid and verifiable. So it means valid means when you finish your research, the final outcome, your conclusion must be true. That means the validable. Second thing, if necessary, you have to verify that your result is right, or someone can make some testing and get verified. So when it comes to research, it's not a simple thing. So you have to do the correct thing, as well as those things need to be verified by yourself, as well as others also can verify that research. If others found some errors in your research, then your research is failure. And the final thing is empirical. Empirical means in any conclusions based on the research had the evidence gathered from the information collections. So when it comes to your research, you can't say I use these kind of data, so these kind of information. For that you have the evidence, what kind of data you collected and what are the data. You have to submit the proper evidence. Then final thing is critical. Critical means you have to it's a process of investigation must be these investigations help you to identify your research from the failures. Okay, so these are the characteristics or requirements for your research. So before moving to this part, so I will show you yeah, okay. So today's the student of the day heading will be, you have to create a medium block on types of researches, right? So I will discuss the overview of the types of research, but not in the deep. But you have to write, or you have to search wherever on the Google or something, you have to search, and you have to write a blog on types of researchers. You can put any other headings also, but the concept is types of research. So these types need to be in that medium block. Okay. So in the medium blocks, we calculate that block's time based on the time. So I will show you that. So this is the, so can you see my Chrome, that browser link, browser page, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so thanks. So this is my medium blogs. So it's like a Facebook or something. So it's very user friendly. So you can easily create your account using that. If you have any Gmail, just go to the Medium account. So Medium login or something. So here, so when you click that sign up, you will have the sign up page. So in here you have to sign up with your Gmail. Then you will get some verification code and you have to verify using that. Then you can go through your Medium account. So in this is my account. So this is my home page. Home page means you will have like my subscriptors and others blogs. So this is one of the blog. Okay. So when it comes to Medium blog, it's a larger platform where all of other bloggers can interact. So if you write quite well, some other agencies will hire you as a blogger, and they can hire you as a part-time bloggers. So likewise, so this is the title of this blog, and you can put images as well. So you can't put copy contents, like you can't copy from somewhere on the Google and just paste it. So that's you can't do here. So when you do that, it will show. When it comes to my Google Classroom, I have that. I will show you. I have that copy content detections in the Google Classroom. So when you copy from somewhere in your friends or in your Google, it will show you. So you can add images, and so when it comes to blog, it's normally it looks like an essay, but blogs are very easier form than the essays. So this is simple paragraphs, so more than 3 to 5 sentence each paragraph. And if you want, you can put bullets points, and subtitles also you can put. And they also, each paragraph have 3 to 5 sentences likewise. So in Medium, we calculate the Medium count as a minutes of reading. So when it comes to, when you type something, it will show the minutes, right? So this is an 8-minute read. So you have to write the Medium blog for me is 5-minute reading time. Okay. So when you create your account, in the bottom, this is my profile. Before that profile section, there is a write option. So when you click that write option, so this is your dashboard. So you can write title of types of researchers is the concept. So you can put the title as so you can put nice titles. What we can do, researchers, the types, the variations, and explanations. So this is one of my titles. So you can just put types of researchers also, fine, but please find a nice heading. So in here you can just type whatever you want, just type, and they also you can add another paragraph. You can add videos in the YouTube, small videos. Click this add the embedded one, and you can paste that video link here, and it will show you as a YouTube video when it comes to blog. So you can get some paragraphs, subtitles, and the images. So likewise, you can have your Medium blog. So you can write. So in here, after finishing that, it will show the time of the minutes, right? So this is your Junior Badges Medium blogs links. So in there, they will have some nice blogs, right? So I hope you will write more than their one as your seniors. Yeah, okay. So here, this is their blogs. Like you can put the images, charts, as well as whatever things. So you can check whether that's 5 minutes I asked for you to do it. So likewise, you will have your blogs, right? You have to submit through the Google Classroom. And don't put all the points in the bullet points. You have to write some paragraphs as well. So, okay. So your question, are you clear with the questions? Sorry, so I already shared the screen, right? Are you clear with Medium? So your question is types of researchers. So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9 research types. So you have to first give an introduction about research. First paragraph should be an introduction of research. Second thing, a subtitle for major research types. Then within each types, you have to give a subtitle and you have to write it about what is applied research as well as example of applied research. Okay, are you clear? So can you, if you are clear, just put yes, or if I want to explain more, if you can put no. So the deadline will be 23rd. 23rd means Saturday. So normally from next week onwards, Tuesday I will give the title and Friday is the deadline. Only 2 people understand, others you didn't understand, is that? Yeah, so question is types of weight. So whoever didn't understand the question, can we explain that again? Yes. So first thing, in the old semester, in the Tuesday end of the lecture, I will give you the title of your Medium blog. Okay. First thing, you have to create your Medium blog. So for that, using your So using your Gmail, you can create a Medium. So go to the medium.com and there using your Gmail, you can create your Medium account. So Medium account is nothing. It's just a place of where you can write your blogs as well as you can follow other bloggers likewise. Okay. So this is one of the blog. So likewise, you have to create a blog for the first moment. You have to create a blog on types of researchers. Okay, types of researchers. So it may be your heading. So rather than this heading, you can take the meaning is same, but the title name you can customize according to your interest. Okay. So the concept is types of researchers. So you have to write it 5 minutes of reading time. So in the Medium, when you start to write Medium blog, it will show you the minutes of reading. So this is a 3-minute reading blog. So you have to finish when it comes to 5 minutes, more than 5. So minimum 5 minutes of reading time, you have to finish that blog. So the blog content is this. So first you have the types of researchers. So in the first paragraph, you can write it as the introduction to research. Then the 9 types are there, majorly 9 types. You can put the subtitles and then you can, so I will explain this slide. So be careful when I am going to explain, be careful and you have to understand what those types, then only you can explain clearly. Okay, so is that okay? So today's 23 is your deadline. So within 23, you have to submit. Before that, you have to join the Google Classroom. Then only you can submit that Medium links. So this is your junior batch. So when I put an assignment as Medium blog post link, you can within that you have to paste your, so you can get your, so this is my page. So if I want to get this Medium link, so after publishing your Medium, you will get your Medium post link. So copy that and paste it in the classroom when under the assignment. Okay. So is that clear? So I will give you a guidance of video of how to create a Medium blog. So don't worry about that if you are new, or else I guess 1 or 2, 3 Medium bloggers are here in your batch also. So you can ask them also for the help, or else you can mail me if you get any issues while creating your account, you can mail. So is that okay? So let's move to the content. Okay. So first thing, researchers. So when it comes to researchers, there are lot of research types. Okay. So from the viewpoint of research, we divide when it comes to the application perspective of research, we divide under 2 categories. So when it comes to the objectives perspective, we divide under 4 categories. So I will get that annotation. Yeah. So from the application perspective, we divide into research into 2 categories. When the objectives perspective, we divide into 4 categories. When the inquiry perspective, we divide into 3 categories. Okay. So if I take a research, one research can fall under either applied or pure, or else these 4, or else these 4. So which means one research can be either in the 3 categories. Okay. Because this is the different perspective of types, right? Is that clear? First thing, this is the different perspective of types, not the subtypes. These are the different perspectives. So when it comes to research, someone said using the application perspective, just only 2 types of researchers are there. But when someone say using the objectives perspective, there are 4 types of researchers. In the inquiry perspective, there are 3 types of researchers. So when it comes to the same research, it will have 3 types. It will have either applied or pure, or it will have either descriptive correlation, or quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method. Is that clear? A research can be applied, descriptive, quantitative. Is this sentence is correct or wrong? If that correct, please get yes or no. Okay. The question is, there is a research. That research can be applied research, descriptive research, quantitative research. All 3 types for that one research. Is that right? If you don't understand, please ask me. So there is a research. That research falls under these 3 types. Okay, all 3. One research falls under all 3 types: applied, descriptive, quantitative. Is this a right or wrong? Is this sentence is a right or wrong? So I will ask. So I am going to ask question. In this question, I have to ask right. So Jayamok and Manoharan, are you there? So if I ask someone's name, so if you don't unmute yourself, I guess you are absent in the classroom. Okay. So Jayamok and Manoharan, are you there? Or if you don't know about the answer, you can just unmute yourself, say, I don't know the answer. Is that fine?
Yes, madam, I hear.
So, do you know the answer or you don't know you don't have any idea?
Usually, I don't that much idea.
So, you don't have the idea, right? So, the question, are you clear, right?
Repeat again, madam.
So, there is a research. So, first thing, I teach like if a research, we can divide under 3 perspectives. So someone can divide the research in the application perspective under only two categories. Under objective perspective, the research can be divided under 4 categories. Under inquiry mode, that research can be divided under 3 categories. The question is, if there is a research that can be for applied research and descriptive research and quantitative research. All 3 types can be only that one research. Is that right or wrong?
Right. Wrong, madam.
Why wrong? Because
research as the individual.
Yeah, if only one research, but I say this is one perspective, right? So in that perspective, that is applied. So in the question, it's either applied or research. Applied or pure. So I say that's applied. In the another perspective, that is descriptive.
Yes.
In another perspective,
the 3 heading under all one category.
only one research. That research can fall under 3 headings. Yes, right? So are you clear, others? So one research, same research can be, so thanks, I forgot the name. So thank you for the answer. So yeah, so the same research can be fall under 3 categories. Why those 3 categories? Because this is one perspective of research type. This is not a subtitle. I already subdivide. So same research can be in 3 different views. So which means same research can be the 3 types, minimum 3 types. So if there is another perspective of research type clarification, so that research can be 4 types. Is that clear? If you are clear only, you can write the blocks. That's why I am again and again repeating the same part. So this is the types of research. So these types are different perspective. So first one is the application perspective. Second one is objectives perspective. Third one is inquiry perspective. Okay, so there are a lot of views, but we don't take that that much deep, because in your researches, those researchers are falls under 3 categories. Only your one research falls under these 3, only three. Those three may be either applied or pure, descriptive, or one of the four, or one of these three. Okay. So if a research can be applied and pure, is that right? If a same research can be applied and pure, is that right?
No.
No, because that's the same perspective. So within the application perspective, same research can't be applied and pure, but the same research can be the different perspective, like applied and descriptive and qualitative, or pure and correlational and mixed method. Okay, so I guess you clear about thing. So first thing, the researchers are basically, we divide into three perspectives: application perspective, objectives perspective, inquiry perspectives. In the application perspective, we have two subdivides: application research and pure research. In the objectives perspective, sorry, descriptive descriptive research, correlational research, explanatory research, exploratory research. Inquiry perspective, quantitative research, qualitative research, and mixed method research. So these, what do you mean by application perspective in the sense? So application perspective means according to its purpose. So the final outcome. Purpose means the what are the things that research going to achieve. So based on that perspective, according to the purpose perspective, we divide into applied and pure. So when it comes to pure research, so please understand these. These are the things you have to write it in the medium blocks. So from the, according to its purpose of a research, purpose means the final outcome, we divide that researchers into applied research and pure research. First thing, pure research. When it comes to pure research, we called it as a pure research as basic research or theoretical research. The name itself, it contains, it's a pure research, or we call this other names for the pure research is theoretical research or basic research. So which means this research focuses on generating new knowledge, which means that first you have to, so using the pure knowledge, you have to give a new knowledge. So which means, for an example, Newton's that third law, it's a pure research. He was introduced a new knowledge to the world, right? So that research falls under the pure research. So normally the persons who are researchers, so we known as the scientists and researchers, first earlier we called those pure researchers only as a researchers or scientists, but that's not true, because there are some other different types of researchers also, right? So when it comes to pure research, that's a new knowledge. So you have to introduce one new theoretical perspective. Okay. So for that, you have to prove that that theoretical, you can't simply say this is the new knowledge. You have to prove that. Okay. Second, in the application perspective, second type is applied research. So this is the most important stuff, because this is the research when it comes to technology, ICT peoples, we are doing application researches. So what do you mean by the application research means? When it comes to pure research, the outcome is new theory, right? So applied research means we have to use that theories and we have to prove, we have to give some techniques to that. Based on that theory, we have to apply that theories to the real world issues. So we are the guys doing the applied research. So when it comes to ICT, so basically the applied researchers, done by the STEM people. So STEM means S-T-M-E, T-E-M, STEM peoples we called. So which means, so we are the people, so S STEM, right? Sorry, STEM. STEM means, S means science, T means technology, E means engineering, M means medical. So STEM peoples, so the peoples who are in this field, science, technology, engineering, medical fields, we are doing these applied researchers. So applied researchers are means using the pure research theories or pure research knowledge, we have to use those theories to real world issues. Okay. So in the applied research, for your purpose, I will add this in the further applied research. We have two further perspective. One is technical applied research. Second is scientific applied research. Okay. Technical applied research means we have to use some technologies to apply those pure research. But when it comes to scientific things, scientific applied research, we have to predict something. Predict means when it comes to future, what using the data, what we are going to have some, if we have some issues in the future, we have to predict. Okay, so in the, according to the output of a research, we divide those research as researches under two major categories: applied research and pure research. Pure research means generating new knowledge and proving that new knowledge as valid. Second thing is applied research. Applied research means using the pure knowledge, pure research knowledges, we have to apply those knowledges used to address a specific research problem in the real world. So in the applied research also, two types: technological applied research and scientific applied research. So when it comes to technological applied research, you are doing if you are doing implementing something, so you are using some programming languages or something, so you are doing a technological applied research. So I am basically a scientific applied research person. So I am doing machine learning techniques to predict something. So in the future, so using my data, so one of my research is I used one of the wildlife means that, you know, right? Wildlife animals. So wildlife data, I am using those data, and using the machine learning, I predict in the future how much of wildlife resources are destroyed in our country. So that's a predicting knowledge that falls under the scientific applied research. Is that clear? This is one perspective. So is that clear? And the second perspective of research is objective perspective. So objective perspective means, so according to your depth of the scope. Depth scope means how far you can do researches. Like, so when it comes to research, you can go so much of deep in each domain, but how deep you go in that domain is based on that scope. So that's we call as scope. So based on the depth, how far, so based on the depth of scope, we divide the researchers under 4 categories. One is descriptive research. Second thing is correlational research. Then explanatory research. Then exploratory research. So this is the depth of the research. Based on the depth of the research, we divide these. This is based on the outcome or based on the final output. So this is based on the depth. So first thing is you have to understand what is exploratory research. Explore means finding new things, right? So exploratory research means if there is an area, so that area subject that is not yet well understood or sufficiently researched. So if there is an area, the researchers or the scientific peoples didn't do so much researchers in that area. So when you take that area and doing some research, we call that research as a exploratory area research. So when it comes to that NASA water researchers, right? NASA people are searching for waters in the another planet rather than the world. But rather than the Earth, they search for the water in the other planet. So this is those researchers are we called as exploratory research, which means the other planets have waters in water. Other planets also have waters. Is the pure research. Someone who some scientists in the past said and proved that research that's called pure research. That pure research, when that research part is didn't have that much of sufficient research in nowadays, right? But NASA people only doing researches on that domain. So that domain we call that researches we called as an that researches we called as an exploratory research. The domains those researchers are done in sufficient research or earlier those subjects are not well understood. Some confuses on that if it may still we have confusion if other planets have water or not, right? Some are says that NASA people are photoshopped that images. Likewise, still there is confusion, right? But when a person took that study for his research, then that research that research falls under exploratory category. Okay. Then descriptive research. So descriptive research means it's used to define the characteristic of a particular circumstance without necessarily investigating the causes of production. So if you're doing some researches without investigating the base knowledge, so when it comes to the fuel issue, so the base issue problem is the fuel producing countries, right? The base problem in the fuel producing countries. But rather than going that deep, when you analyze the based on your Sri Lankan country perspective research to the fuel issue, it comes under the descriptive research, which means you didn't have the deeper, you didn't go deeper, but the overview or the outlayer knowledge only you research. So that's a descriptive research. So when it comes to short period of research, mostly they do as a descriptive research. Okay. So second thing is explanatory research. Third thing, explanatory research. Explanatory research means this is the most common type of research method and is responsible for the establishing the cause and effect of relationship, which means if these kind of issues happen, what will cause to the future, or what kind of effects we have. Likewise, if you find that kind of research, it will fall under the explanatory research. So if there's an research on, sorry, give me a minute. So if you find any researchers on that earlier days, that Sri Lankan earlier presidents and prime ministers give some foreign countries for their natural harbor. So some researchers do researchers on the explanatory research, which means they find some causes and effects. If you give the natural harbor to the other foreign countries, it will cause, because our country is the center of the ocean, right? So it will have the most value to that harbor. So some researchers find the explanatory researches, then they will predict the causes and the effects. So that researches falls under the explanatory research type. Okay. So the final one is correlational research type, which means it's identify the relationship between two or more variables. So where in the later part of this research methodology subject, you will learn what is variables and other stuff, relationship and other stuff. So for the moment, just think this is the this research is identify the relationship between two or more variables. That's all. Okay. So sorry. So these types of researchers are under the, according to the depth of the scope or the objective perspective, we divide these researchers into 4 categories. So when it comes to inquiry means based on the data collection. So in researchers, we have to collect data. That is mandatory. If that is whatever applied of you, we have to have some data. Based on the data only, we can come up with new knowledge, or we can come up with the application, right? So based on the data collection, what kind of data that we are collecting, based on that, we divide that research into 3 parts. First thing is quantitative research. It means, quantity means numbers, right? So if your data is a number format, which means if you're collecting the age, phone number, likewise currency, the salary, likewise the number data, that research is called as a quantitative research. So if you collect some qualitative data, so which means name, address, likewise the text data, we call that research as a qualitative research. So quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative is number data, qualitative is the text data. So the mixed method research is either numbers or else text. So you can collect name, address as well, age, phone number also you can collect. Okay, so this is the final types of research. First thing, using the each viewpoint, we divide the research as 3 types. First thing, application perspective, objective perspective, inquiry mode, or data the collected data. Based on the data, we can collect, we can divide. So when it comes to application based, we have 2 types: pure research, applied research. Applied research also have 2 types. I didn't mention it here. So technological applied research, scientific applied research. In the objective perspective, we have 4 types: descriptive research, correlational research, explanatory research, exploratory research. Exploratory research means if some researchers, some domains that don't have that much of research experience or that much of subject that is not well understood, that researchers comes under the exploratory. Explanatory research means this is the most common type and responsible for the establishing a cause and effect. Okay, that Ringamalai harbor, cause and effect in the future. Correlational, relational. So finding the relationship between two or more variables called correlational research. And the descriptive research is define the characteristic that investigating the causes without going deep into that main cause. Okay. And the data collection, quantitative, qualitative, mixed method research. Okay. So based on these, you have to write your medium blog. Okay. Sorry. So do you have any questions you can ask? So until then, I have to prepare a survey for you. So wait. So until then, if you have any questions, you can ask. You can talk if you have any anything want to identify. So if you really interested in the research areas, you can talk to me. If you have any ideas or if you want to work in any researchers, so you can collaborate with me. So I will launch a poll. So that's a survey for the today's lecture. So you can answer that. So did you get that poll?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can fill that. So that's my purpose. So if you have any comments like fast, slow, or don't understand anything, you can just tell me. I will try to correct it. So please join the Google Classroom. So there only I will share that lecture notes and these slides as well. This is the Google Classroom code. And for today's lecture slide only, I will share with you with the WhatsApp group. So from next week onwards, you have to be in the Google Classroom. So when from next class onwards, if you have the quizzes in the classroom, I will launch like this pulse. So for that, you have to join your registered. When you registered through that link, you get your the Zoom link to your email. So you have to join using that link only. If you join others registered link, so the last person joined that link name only visible in the quiz. So in your junior batches, I face some issues, but don't ask me. I submit the quiz, but I don't have the marks. So for that, you have to join using your registered Zoom link only. So don't share your Zoom link. If you share, the person who log in that link lastly only get the marks. Yeah, I will share the lecture notes in the WhatsApp group, but if you join the classroom, I will share.